Good afternoon, Niner fans. We are here on Victory Monday, and there's so much to talk about. So much to talk about after the 49ers 42-19 embarrassment over the Philadelphia Eagles. We shut them up. There's so much fallout after the game. I want to talk all about it today. It's Victory Monday, and it feels great. My man Tej Beats says fire Dom and the GTA trailer drop. That was pretty amazing. It's like about time. But yo, real quick, let's get on to this game. I mean, this game was amazing, right? We waited so many months and it delivered exactly what we want. But real quick, before we dive into everything and talk about everything we want to talk about, there were a few injury updates today that I want to go over because this is kind of important. Actually, really important. Not kind of, but today, Arik Armstead, apparently he has a foot and knee injury. They're still determining his availability for the rest of the week and everything like that. So Armstead played through injury, man. And I said this last night that you got to give him a lot of respect, a lot of credit. Arik Armstead was a dog last night, man. He really just played his ass off, and he was playing through the injury, the foot. Now he has a little bit of a knee issue. So they're trying to figure out what's the dilly with Arik Armstead. But, man, I'll tell you what, this guy was definitely a very important part of this defense last night, and he's been important for this defense overall over the last month, man. I hope that they don't have any. I hope he doesn't have any significant issues, and he could come back soon. But I feel like the 49ers could probably rest them maybe for a week or two. They got Seattle and Arizona. Now I know Seattle's tough. You don't want to go against them shorthanded because they're going to be playing their head off. Trying to get this game backs against the wall, but if Armstead's really banged up, I don't want to see him risk it because we need to make sure he's ready for the stretch run of the season. He's been so good for this team. In other news, Ross Dwelley has a high ankle sprain. He's going to be out multiple weeks, according to Kyle Shanahan. So Ross Dwelley's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Man, that's tough because you need a backup tight end. I feel Charlie Warner's been good in terms of, blocking and stuff, and that's what he does. He does his role. He does it very well. But Ross Dwelley, he's a good pass-catching guy, but really George Kittle has stepped up, and he's been the guy. I don't really see Ross Dwelley get involved. So, you just need to make sure you have depth. You want to hope that there's no big injuries. So Ross Dwelley, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really a bad injury. It's just you just hope that nothing serious happens to anybody else, But they did ask Kyle Shanahan. Matt Barrows tweeted that he asked Kyle Shanahan about the possibility of Zach Ertz, and he says that there's no they haven't really put in a request. They haven't looked into Zach Ertz yet. I know he's a free agent. A lot of people will say, oh, go get Zach Ertz for the backup. But he says he respects his game, but there is no interest in terms of bringing Zach Ertz to the team. So that's that. Zach Ertz, probably not coming to the Niners. But I know a lot of people asked. This was a tough one to see. Darrell Luter Jr., the rookie cornerback, he had a hamstring injury. I think he pulled his hamstring in yesterday's game. Very unfortunate. He will be out for at least a week. Hamstring injuries take a couple of weeks in my eyes. So Darrell Luter, it's a tough break. He just came back, 2 weeks ago from the injured reserve. He's been on the special teams, and unfortunate for him, he's been dealing with the hamstring injuries. It's kind of tough. His rookie season's been really marred by injuries, but he's solid special teamer. I like what I've seen out of him so far. He had the hustle play last week against Seattle, but, it's just tough for him to stay on the field right now. He's young, though. Hopefully he can bounce back. And, again, it's nothing significant. And these injuries, honestly, could have been a lot worse, right? But the 49ers had a physical matchup with the Eagles. I mean, it was a very, very physical game. And they went toe-to-toe. And, they walked out with, very minor injuries, if you really think about it, the grand scheme of things. So, Ray McLeod still has the rib injury. Spencer Burford still, he has a knee injury, but it's a different knee from last time. So, good news is the 49ers won. And like I said, there really isn't any serious injury that came out of this game. And the Niners, they didn't just win. They didn't just win, guys. They kicked the Eagles' teeth in. Check this stat out from the NFL.com, the NFL official site, actually. Let me take a look at this. Where was it? Okay. The 49ers have a 102-point differential, plus 102-point differential this season against teams who are in a playoff spot entering Week 14. So basically against these playoff teams, the 49ers are kicking their teeth in. Unbelievable, man. It's just crazy how they're whipping everybody up. 102-point differential this season against teams who were in a playoff spot entering week 14. The Ravens have the second most, okay? The Ravens have the second most. You want to see how big of a difference? They're plus 45. Plus 45. The 49ers have a 102-point differential against the teams that they play against who are in a playoff spot in week 14. The Ravens have the second best at 45. That's crazy. Niners are dominating people. Jaime says, "What's up, Raj? Victory Monday. Dancing out here in El Paso, repping the Niners." Yo, shout out to El Paso. That's my birth city. I was actually born in El Paso. Shout out to El Paso, man. I hope everybody's holding it down, El Paso Niner gang. But everybody out there, I hope everybody's having a good day today. Good Monday. I mean, this is a great Monday. I'm sure everybody walked into school, walked into work, smile on their face, dancing, hyped up. Everybody got good sleep, because the team dominated. But it's just another week now. We got to go into and prepare for Seattle. They had 3 extra days rest. They had the Thursday game. So now they'll have an advantage on us. The 49ers are pretty much the hottest team in the NFL. That's how it goes. A few weeks ago, the Jaguars were the hottest team in the NFL. 49ers ended that. Eagles were one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Niners, they ended that. And now the Niners are basically the hottest team in the NFL. And it's Victory Monday for a reason because the 49ers just dominated on all aspects of the game. I saw a stat this morning when I was looking at everything to kind of come on here and talk to y'all about Victory Monday. There was a lot of stats that I was just like, oh my God. And I know we could talk about the offense all day. We could talk about how great Brock Purdy was, and we will. MVP candidate Brock Purdy, you gotta love it. We called that one. We could talk about how great Deebo Samuel was, and we will. We could talk about how great CMC was, and we will. We could talk about how good this offensive line was, and we will. But we got to first talk about this defense, man. Let me tell you something. The 49ers defense generated 46 pressures. 46 pressures, guys. This is according to PFF. 46. Whether you want to talk about pressures as a true stat or whatnot, maybe they didn't get 146. Maybe it was like 40. But the fact that they were always pressuring the Eagles tells me just how good this defensive line played against an Eagles offensive line who's supposed to be just the greatest thing since sliced bread, the greatest thing since Jesus Christ, the greatest thing since Moses parted the Red Sea. That's how good this offensive line was supposed to be. And you know what? The 49ers had 46 pressures against that offensive line. The Eagles, they had 16, okay? I'm telling you, man, the 49ers came into the league and they were so aggressive. From the moment they walked in wearing all black, like every aspect of this game was an ass kicking. They took their soul, they crushed them. They proved everything they said in the offseason. They justified themselves. Everybody says that they were crying, they were boo-hoo, whining. I remember sitting here and hearing all types of Eagles fans saying they're just, sad bunch of fans. Niners suck. They're never going to come in to beat us. If they come into the link, it's bad news, da-da-da-da-da. And the Niners kicked their ass, dude. 46 pressures. The Eagles had 16. So speaking of that, the Eagles had 16 pressures. I'm telling you, the 49ers offensive line held their own, man. Everybody on that 49ers offensive line had a great day. Colton McKivitz, Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, you name them all, man. They did good. Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford. They held their own. They really stopped this defensive line of the Eagles to getting to Brock Purdy. And another amazing stat, which we talked about this morning, Brock Purdy, when he was blitzed by the Eagles, he was 10 for 10, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, a perfect 158.3 rating. Bro, they brought the blitz all day. It didn't matter. They blitzed him, and he still got the ball out. And everybody wants to say, oh, Brock, he relies on the yak and stuff. If you're blitzing him 10 times, you best believe he's getting the ball in his playmaker's hands, and they're going to do what they got to do to score a touchdown or get open, get down the field. As a quarterback, you got to deliver the ball to your playmakers. You're not controlling them getting 10 yards after a catch, 20 yards after a catch. Blame the defense for not being able to tackle. Are you kidding me? The Eagles defense, they sucked last night. They couldn't tackle, a wet noodle. They couldn't tackle anybody. And now today they had to go get Shaq Lawson because the 49ers just walked them, dog walked them, kicked them in the teeth. They beat them so bad they had to go get a linebacker because they were so exposed. Their linebackers sucked. They couldn't tackle. They couldn't get CMC. They couldn't bring him down. They got demolished over the middle. Debo Samuel, every time he got a slant over the middle, it was a touchdown. They couldn't stop him, ladies and gentlemen. They couldn't stop George Kittle. You think Shaq Lawson's going to be able to stop those guys? No way. They are in panic mode. The 49ers just sent them to the gulag realm. They are in panic mode, and I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I love it. I love it. Blood Moon says, F Shady, F J Taylor, and F Nick Wright. They still cannot eat fucking crow. Swallow that L and put respect on Glock Purdy. Respect him. At this point, Blood Moon, the reason why they're doing this, the reason why they're saying Brock Purdy's not doing good, not this, that, not elite. He should have been in the MVP conversation. At this point, it's just clout. It's their show. It's their thing. They're just gonna keep saying it for the likes, the engagement, because people we're gonna get pissed off and be like, oh my god, how can you not put them in the MVP consideration? They're just idiots. And at the end of the day, Nick Wrights of the world, they're all idiots, and they're just doing this for their pockets. And hey, they're making money out of it. So, Brock Purdy, man, he is that guy. Shout out to my boy Terrence Davis. He says, I live in Pennsylvania. He says, everyone is in shambles. They're all in shambles out in Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen. Terrence says, everybody in Philadelphia is in shambles. I love it, man. Blood Moon says, I'm tired of this gold post moving on him. The MVP is really between Purdy and CMC. Knowing both of them, they'll probably argue for each other. I'll tell you what, man. If you really think about it, Brock Purdy, it's just amazing how far he's come. Like, whether you think he's the MVP or not, the fact that a year ago today, we were sitting here. I was getting ready to go to the Miami Dolphins 49ers game, Levi Stadium. I remember the game. Amazing. Jimmy Garoppolo goes down in the game. I was shook, broke his leg. And guess what? Brock Purdy comes in and became the savior. He became the franchise that day. He came in calm, cool, collected, and he led the team to a victory over the Dolphins, who everybody thought was going to beat the 49ers. And ever since then, he's never not started a game. He started every single game since then, and he's been a legend for this team, man. Unbelievable start to his career, and people just want to doubt him. People want to think that, oh, he's the last pick of the draft. He can't be good. He just can't be good. He's the last pick for a reason. He's undersized. He's this. He's that. He's got a great mentality, man. He's calm, cool, collected. He's a leader on the field. We see it. The players see it. Kyle Shanahan sees it. That's why he lets them test it deep. He's amazing, man. Brock Purdy is the guy, and whether people want to give him that credit or not, it is what it is, because the 49ers are doing what they need to do. They're beating teams. They're humbling folks, and they're putting people on notice. Like the 49ers, they stripped down the Eagles and they exposed them. They exposed them, man. Like, they showed the world how to beat the Eagles. You hit them in the mouth, you get to Jalen Hurts, and you put a lot of pressure on him. And this is the thing. Before we get to Greenlaw, I saw the question there. I want to talk about this defense more because they're not getting enough credit. Well, we talked about how good the pressures were. I want to talk about this secondary, man. I got to talk about Mooney Ward. He leads the NFL in PBUs, in pass breakups. 15 of them, guys. He has 15 pass breakups. The next closest is 13. Look, Mooney Ward, man, fucking put some respect on the guy. I absolutely love this guy. You know me. If you followed me for years, you know how much I love cornerbacks. Every year it seems like my draft crush is a cornerback. The next big cornerback of the league, Sauce Gardner, right? Every year, J.C. Horn. I'm a cornerback merchant. And when we finally got Mooney, I remember being hyped up. I remember going live and going, oh, my God, Mooney, this is a guy we've been waiting for, cornerback. And, he took a lot of credit this early in the season, but the whole defense, it just weren't figured out yet. They finally moved Oliver out. Ambry Thomas on the outside. Come on, dude. Ambry Thomas has become a revelation. He's become a solid corner for this team. The mentality, he's got a lot of confidence now because of Sideline Steve. Sideline Steve, man, he came down from the booth, and it's changed. The defensive line has been getting more pressures, and when that pressure is generated and you're getting quarterbacks uncomfortable, you're going to have time back in the back end, man, and this back end has played good. Diomede Lenore looking like Deshaun Golson last night, bro. Hit him with the hit stick. He strapped him down. Mooney Ward, man, PBU on A.J. Brown. Like, that was a big test for Mooney Ward, man. Like, back-to-back, DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown, those two guys have been dominating cornerbacks. Like, that's something people are not talking about. Mooney Ward is dominating top 10 wide receivers this season. And I know the game, everybody gave crap for him against Addison and the Vikings. Listen, I went back and I watched that game. He had that damn interception before halftime where Addison scores a touch. He ripped it out of Mooney's hands. Like, you go back to that play, and that was the game that broke that game away. And Mooney had it. He had it. He went and he did the thing, And I know Steve Wilkes got a lot of criticism for that, but looking back, if Mooney Ward makes that play, nobody ever criticizes him or Steve Wilkes. But at the end of the day, man, that was the play that broke the camel's back and put the 49ers where they need to go. Because Steve Wilkes was like, all right, we're going to go down to the sideline. I'm going to make sure this defense is what it has to be. Chase Young came to the Niners, and everything has been golden since. And nobody can stop this defense because the secondary's balling. The linebackers, of course, they're balling. And the defensive line is just generating pressures at such a high level. It's a well-oiled machine. Shout out to Steve Wilkes for making the adjustments. And this cornerback room has been so good, man. People don't give them credit. Every week we were on here saying they need a cornerback. They need a cornerback. Jalen Johnson, go get Patrick Surtain. Go get this. Go get that. They don't need anybody, guys. They really don't. They're cooking. Hitting them, baby. I love this comment right here. Jason says, Lenore hit the sonic rings out of Swift. I saw someone say, somebody said something about like Taylor Swift and Diamond Lenore are both hitting Kelsey, brother, or both something of Swift or something. Oh no, Travis Kelsey and Diamond Lenore are both something was I don't know. I don't remember. I butchered the joke. I messed up. I saw the meme. It was funny at the moment. But anyways, whatever. Lenore, man, guy's looking like the second coming of Deshaun Golson. And if you really think about it, Deshaun Golson is actually on the team as one of the honorary coaches, right? He's one of the like training coaches on the staff, and he's probably helping out. He's with the DB room. He's like an honorary DB coach out there. I know that Deshaun Golson's probably teaching these guys how to hit all their the opposing team. So I gotta love it, man. Golson's out there. I've seen him post a lot of pictures with Diamond Lenore. I've seen Diamond Lenore post a lot of pictures with Deshaun Golson. I feel like he's rubbing off on this team because they are a physical bunch, man. This team is a physical bunch. Mooney Ward is so physical. He's so aggressive. He just like pulls on guys, and he doesn't let up. He's just man to man, and he's sticky in coverage. And Ambry Thomas, he's quick. He's aggressive. He's got that man cover situation down. And Diamond Lenore, we saw the hits that he had. So yes, the secondary needs a lot of respect. Tashawn Gibson doesn't get any respect because he's the forgotten man, but he's been such a solid safety. And Jair Brown, he's a rookie. He's holding his own. He's not making any mistakes. You don't hear his name called in the game. That's a good thing. He's learning. He's developing. The game's going to slow down for him at some point. Right now, Jair Brown, is he balling? Is he elite? No, but he's making no mistakes, and he's taking care of business, and he's playing his game. So the secondary has been absolutely changed over the last couple of weeks. So gotta love it, man. We have to play like this the next 4 weeks, says Supreme. I think so. I think they will. I think they can. I think the 49ers can win out. I don't really see another team beating the 49ers. They're just so strong right now. We'll see what the Ravens can do. I think that's probably the biggest test over the next couple of weeks. They got a great quarterback in Lamar Jackson. He's a mobile quarterback. The 49ers have had a bad history with them. But last night against the Eagles, the 49ers really did good against Jalen Hurts and controlling his ability to run out the pocket. They contained Jalen Hurts a lot. And that was a good test for this defense because in a couple of weeks, they're going to be playing, Lamar Jackson. And they're playing Kyler Murray next week. So the 49ers, these next couple of weeks are going to be really big in terms of being able to stop a mobile quarterback because in the NFL, most of the better quarterbacks are these mobile guys, So they may have to play Jalen Hurts down the line. You never know if they're going to get a rematch with Lamar in the NFL Super Bowl if that's where it happens, or Patrick Mahomes, or whatever the case is. So the 49ers being able to shut down Jalen Hurts was huge last night. Controlled him. They controlled him. They really contained him, and I loved that. That was huge for me. Somebody was asking about the Dre Greenlaw situation. Let's talk about the Dre Greenlaw situation. So I'm seeing this 49ers on NBCS. This is good timing. So John Lynch reportedly met with the Eagles staffer that was ejected from yesterday's game. Obviously, we know Big Dom, right? The idiot security guard. So let's read this article. It says a bizarre encounter between 49ers linebacker Dre Greenlaw and Philadelphia Eagles staffer Dom DeSandro that led to the pair's ejection during the third quarter of San Francisco's blowout win Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field has the football world buzzing. It really does. We're all talking about it, right? After one of the strangest altercations you will ever see during an NFL game, DeSandro spoke with the 49ers general manager to explain the situation. NFL Network's Mike Garofalo reported on Monday. So post-game, DeSandro spoke to the 49ers GM, John Lynch, to kind of explain what happened there. Garofalo said Monday on From the Insiders, I know Nick Sirianni apologized at his post-game press conference, and the conversation between DeSandro and Lynch ended up on a good note. I'm told they dapped it up and moved on. I know some folks with the 49ers were not happy with how things went as far as a security person getting involved with the situation. So that's the situation there. Kyle Shanahan, after the game, was irate with DeSandro's involvement in the scuffle that saw one of his star players removed from Sunday's game in Philadelphia. Obviously, Dre Greenlaw. This is what Kyle Shanahan says. He said, I hope I didn't embarrass myself too bad, Shanahan told reporters after the game. I don't get to see it all from where I'm at, but when I started hearing people explain it to me and stuff, I just can't believe someone uninvolved in a football game can taunt our players like that and put their hands in a guy's face. And Kyle was pissed last night. Like, you saw how mad he was. He was pissed. This big Dom guy, he's a security guard. I don't understand how he gets involved. I know he's doing his job trying to break people up, but you don't need that. You have officiating on the field. I've never seen a security guard like that close to the players. You don't touch a player. It was just a bad situation. We all know Greenlaw is kind of an emotional guy. He's it's like the Draymond Green of the 49ers. And honestly, I think they provoked him. They pushed his buttons, man, and I hate that. They pushed his buttons, and I think the Eagles thought that was going to be a moment where they got momentum. It's going to turn the game around in their favor. And you know what really happened? The 49ers took it as momentum, and it helped them out. The 49ers took that situation and said, okay, we're going to make water into wine, and we're going to turn, this bad situation. And they used it as juice, man. They really turned that game around after that play. I know the Eagles went down, they scored. It was a lot of tempers flaring. But after that, Niners scored, man. It was the Brandon Ayuk beautiful third down play, 3rd and 7. And after that, Deebo Samuel scores another touchdown. The 49ers were not messing around. They put their foot on the gas. Kyle Shanahan was aggressive. He was pissed off. You could tell in his play calling. I fucking love Kyle Shanahan for being aggressive last night. Kyle Shanahan was amazing, man, last night. Like, that was Kyle Shanahan, one of his best called games I've ever seen him coach. It was amazing. He was in his Duffy last night. He was in his bag last night. Kyle Shanahan called a great game. I know outside of the first quarter and everybody was panicking, myself included, he really figured it out. And again, we talked about this last night. Those 2 defensive stops, man, were huge early in the first quarter where they held him to 2 field goals. And Mooney Ward, one of the biggest plays of the entire game. One of the biggest plays of the entire game. We came so early. PBU, A.J. Brown held them out of the end zone. If the 49ers were down 14-0, guys, it's a different game. Credit to this defense. Again, Ariel says, do you think we can win out, Raj? Absolutely. I told you. The only game that really kind of worries me is the Ravens. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not worried about Seattle. They're always a tough opponent, but the 49ers showed that they can dominate the Seahawks. So, and it's in home. My man Jason says Greenlaw sets the tone on the defense. He really does. He is the tone setter. He's the energy. He's the spark plug, and that's what Dre Greenlaw does. That whole situation was ridiculous. And according to Adam Schefter today, the NFL is reviewing the sideline incident between 49ers linebacker Dre Greenlaw and Eagles head of security Dom DeSandro, per the league office. There is expected to be a follow-up with the Eagles this week. So there's going to be some, fallout from this. I'm sure Greenlaw is going to get fined in some way, which is ridiculous. Dom's going to, if I'm the NFL, man, I'm firing this Dom guy. You're a security guard. You don't need to be putting your hands on a player like that. Like, come on, what's Dre Greenlaw going to do? He's not going to hurt anybody. He's not going to do anything. He just was a little emotional, man. He was fired up. It's a hot, intense game. It's 2 of the biggest teams. Nobody wants to lose, and they were pissed off, man. And I'm sure they were saying crap, and I'm sure that, it was getting chippy out there, but you don't need to put your hands on a player, man. I hope Dom gets fired. And after the game, he went to in the locker room. This is from John Clark, NBCS. He goes, Big Dom was welcoming the Eagles back to their locker room after losing 42-19 to the 49ers. And he says, we'll get them back. This is what he says. Dom tells the Eagles players, we'll get them back. Come on, man. You shouldn't even be around the team. You shouldn't be in the locker room. You just got ejected from the game. You shouldn't be around the team. It's a ridiculous situation. I couldn't believe that happened. Like, that whole situation, it pissed me off. It pissed Kyle Shanahan off. And I'm sick of that guy, Dom. He's a big dum-dum. And instead of Dom, they should change his name to Dum Dum. And I hope he gets his job taken away from him. I hope he knows Chinese, because maybe he'll go overseas and start coaching in China, right? Like they say to NBA players, you better go suit up for the Beijing Tigers or something. That's where he might be going. Or he might be flipping burgers. Hopefully he looks like he could cook a good burger. Maybe he'll be getting a job at In-N-Out, Maybe. We'll see. Unbelievable. Who does that guy think he is, says Max Cali. Did you see what Tabor Pepper put? He posted a picture of Paul Blart. He looked like Paul Blart. Everybody was calling him Paul Blart last night. Good cheesesteak. Hope we pay Dre a bag. All the money he's made in his extension is probably getting taken away on fines. It's crazy. Unbelievable. Young CJ says, I hope so. I believe the Eagles owner or somebody paid that security guard to do that, but their mission failed. I feel the same way, CJ. Like I said this last night. I thought I was the only one. I don't know. I know it's a crazy take. I know it sounds wild. I feel like the 49ers, or not the 49ers, the Eagles were like, they hired someone, or someone paid them. They paid Dom this money to like go and insinuate something and go start mess with Dre Greenlaw, because they knew he was going to be, irritated and a little hot in this game. And I really do feel like someone maybe slid him a couple of $100 and a couple $1,000 to go alter with, go rumble with Dre Greenlaw, man, and get in his head, get under his skin. It didn't work out for the Eagles, man. It was a bad setup, man. That's exactly how I felt. I felt like it was a setup. Like it's like, in the movies, the guy's wearing the wire. They got the wire tapped under him. All right, here's the plan, guys. We're going to go. We got the wire. And then the wire gets exposed, and they gets caught up, and the bad guy gets caught. The guy that's trying to, like, spy on someone, he gets absolutely caught, and he's, like, trying to get out of his lie. That's how it felt last night. I felt like Dom had the wire under him, and the 49ers figured that out, man. It was crazy, man. Jason says, I literally thought they were going to overturn the Ayuk touchdown. Yeah, for a minute I did too. I thought they were going to overturn it, and I would have been pissed. That touchdown was just unbelievable. Y'all saw the 4K video the NFL Films posted of it. I mean, it was just, that was a pretty touchdown, man. That was such a pretty ball, man, by Brock, and a beautiful catch by Ayuk. Ayuk with the hands. Shout out to Brandon Ayuk. He is stepping it up lately. We talked about him a couple of weeks ago when after the bye, I said, Brandon Ayuk, you want to get paid, start scoring touchdowns. And that's exactly what he's done. He's getting touchdowns every single week, man. This guy is going to be expensive because the fact that during the stretch run, Brandon Ayuk is scoring big touchdowns for this team. He's being consistent. He's a threat. He's an offensive threat. I love it, man. Andrew Lopez says, my favorite touchdown was Juwan Jennings shoved the defender out of his. Bro, that play was so amazing. I love Juwan Jennings. He's a third down king. We all know 3rd and 1, right? 3rd and Juwan. God, man. So let's talk about Juwan Jennings. This guy's so important for this team. He blocks like every week. He holds his blocks. He's unselfish player. This whole team's unselfish. But I love how he just goes out there, blocks, doesn't let anybody, get through when Debo's running or Ayuk's running. He's worried about making sure his teammates score. And then last week he put the Eagles defenders in a blender. Like they had like 3 or 4 guys on him. They couldn't take him down. Talked trash after the game because he backed it up. And then this week, bro, he took that stiff arm and he stiff-armed it into Mars, and the guy just fell down, touchdown. First touchdown of the season for Juwan Jennings. You got to love that for him. He's just a very gritty player. He's a good role player. He's tough. He's going to be a free agent this year. I don't know if the 49ers will sign him because he could get some good money somewhere. I mean, not like top tier wide receiver money, but he'll get good money, man, somewhere because he's just such an unselfish player. He knows his role. He's a good blocker. He could be like a bigger threat in somebody's offense if they used him as a number 1, or well, maybe not a number 1, but a higher, part in the pecking order. A team that doesn't have a lot of weapons, he can step up and be a good number two in another team. He just doesn't have the opportunity with the Niners because they have Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, so it's a luxury. But Juwan Jennings, man, he's a football guy. He's amazing. And whatever happens to him this offseason, I hope the best for him. I hope he can come back to the Niners, but he's a dog, man. I love that guy. Yeah. Take a pay cut. You think he's the type to take a pay cut to stay with the Niners? I hope so. But if he does, I'm not gonna be mad at him. I mean, go get that bread, man. Go get that bread. Go get that money. If he gets an opportunity to get so much more money than he could at Niners, I would not be mad at him for going somewhere. I'm not gonna say he's not loyal. That's it, man. You play to make the money. All the hard work that he's put in over the years, he deserves to get his bread. So it is what it is. Douglas says, I hope we extend Chase Young after the season. Me too, man. He's been so important to this defensive turnaround. Even if he's not getting sacks and stuff, his presence on the field just makes a big time impact. He's helping Nick Bosa, Armstead, and everybody out there. I love Chase Young, man. And him and Nick Bosa, they're like brothers on the field. So absolutely. Supreme says, how many more years do the 49ers have to win a Super Bowl? I say they still got 2 more years, but it really depends on that offensive line. I don't know how much more time Trent Williams has. Trent Williams might have a year, maybe 2. Maybe he might be done after this year. If Trent Williams is gone, the 49ers have to do a massive rehaul of this offensive line because it's going to be hard to replace Trent Williams. Aaron Banks is great. They really need to figure out who's going to be that left tackle. They got some decent guys on the line, that are stepping up, but they're no way elite. So they definitely have to fix that O-line. I love Brock Purdy. He's great. We talked about how he's good against the blitz. He was 10 for 10. He's amazing. He can move out of the pocket looking like a young white Mike Vick on certain plays. Yesterday, the running, the gunning, he was breaking tackles. It was amazing to see. But honestly, really, if you think about it, this offensive line still needs to get it better. Imagine the 49ers with the offensive line like the Eagles, who are supposed to be so good. If the 49ers and Brock Purdy had that O-line, man, he'd have all day to throw. People say, oh, he dinks and dunks. He throws over the middle. He does Yak Brothers. He gets the ball to the short passes, whatever. If they're blitzing him, he doesn't have time. He's got to get the ball out quick. It doesn't, he can't just be throwing, long passes all day if he doesn't have time in the pocket. If he had time in the pocket, I'm sure he would be throwing dimes because Brock, man, he's been testing the field. He's got that CMC pass, just so many big time plays over the, last couple of weeks, and he's opening it up. Kyle trusts him, man. Give him time. This guy would carve up any team. He's been carving up teams. He's like a surgeon out there, carving people up, man. Just like a surgeon. So depressed Niner fan, he's late. It's all good, man. Better late than never. Let's see. Chef Ayuk says, Debbie. Andrew says, where can I apply for the 49ers boombox position? The job's filled up, man. They got it filled up. But earlier this offseason, you could have applied. I don't know where the application was, though. Julia says, did you know that despite Hurts having the best O-line in football, he's been sacked 32 times this season compared to Brock's 23. That's a huge stat, man. And that right there was the difference yesterday's game. They were putting pressure. They were getting to Jalen Hurts, man. They were making him make, mistakes. And he just wasn't as sharp as Brock Purdy yesterday. They weren't, man. 49ers defense came to play. Max says, it's laughable how people say he's carried by his receivers, yet the NFL, but he leads the NFL in air yards per attempt. Every stat he does, he leads the NFL pretty much. He's number one in like almost every big statistical category, yards per attempt, touchdown to turnovers, completion percentage, passer rating. It's crazy. He just going out there and dominating. And then people say, he has too many good weapons. He's relying on his weapons. Anybody could be good in this offense, Oh, he's relying on the Yak brothers. Oh, he's a system quarterback. Okay, Patrick Mahomes yesterday, they're sitting there saying, oh, well, he doesn't have receivers. They need to put talent around him. So if Brock Purdy didn't have receivers, then would there be an excuse that, oh, see, he's terrible. He doesn't. If Brock Purdy was doing bad, they'd say, oh, he's just terrible. He can't elevate his teammates. It wouldn't be, oh, he doesn't have weapons. Right now it's, oh, he has too many weapons. So the whole dialogue, the whole narrative, man, it's just so annoying. People just going to keep talking trash about Brock, and he's just going to keep silencing them, So it's frustrating to see the media, but it is what it is. Those are the times we live in. Like we said, they got to do it to get that paycheck, and I guess game is game. Depressed Niners fan says, "Yo, Raj, can we say that Purdy won from behind, even though it was only 6 points? He was behind. I said it last night. I said he did show that he could come from behind. I know it wasn't a huge deficit, but the 49ers, you got to give credit to that defense again for holding them to 6. But Brock Purdy did come from behind. I mean, technically he did. So, the Eagles were riding high. They had the momentum, and the 49ers sapped the momentum. The fact that Brock Purdy was leading this team on 90, yard drives. They had 6 straight drives where they scored a touchdown. Guys, that's a lot of drives. 6 straight. They were just imposing their will. And that started after the first quarter. The first quarter, it looked like the Niners were left for dead. It looked like they didn't get off the airplane. It looked like it was going to be a bloodbath in Philly. And it was a bloodbath in Philly, but just not the way that they wanted. Yeah. F around and watch him drop 40 on your favorite team. 40, guys, he dropped 42 points. Chat, he dropped 42 points on the Eagles. They were 10-1. They were supposed to be the best team in the NFL. He dropped 42. They dropped 42 on the Cowboys. This team is good, man. This team is good. Team is so good, man. I mean, just amazing players left and right. And we haven't even talked about Fred Warner. The guy's incredible. This guy's been playing out of his mind. Out of his mind. Javon Kinlaw last night. Game of his career. He had the best game of his career. I'm so happy to see Javon Kinlaw doing good. Whether he's going to be on this team or not next year, probably won't. This guy needed this game. Like, this is the season for him to really develop and show that he's a good player and put good film on tape, because he's going to be a free agent. And teams are going to look at him and say, wow, he really turned it around with the Niners. All the injuries are past him now. Knock on wood, he's not been injured. And he's really turning into a solid player. He's good depth, good rotational player. 2 sacks last night. You got to feel great for Javon Kinlaw, man. So, a depressed Niner fan says, you saw on First Take, Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith are finally sold. And they came around, man. Shannon Sharp. Let's talk about what Shannon Sharp had to say. He was tooting the horn. He was hyped up about the 49ers. This is what he said. Shannon Sharp said this morning, and I loved it. It was great. It was a great tweet. What did he say? He goes, the 49ers are the best team in football, regardless of the conference. He says, go debate in a cave with your echo. Go debate in a cave with your echo. I don't care what QB has played the best or who's the MVP. 49ers are the best team, and it's not even close. Love it, man. The 49ers, they're making believers out of everybody except Nick Wright. We all know Nick Wright's still a clown. But Shannon Sharp, man, he's coming around. So is Stephen A. Smith. Teams are finally coming around. I know every week, like I said, people will start to slowly creep around. Some of them won't, because that's part of their gimmick, right? They're going to sit there and stand on their business or whatever until they absolutely look like an idiot and they have pie in their face. The 49ers are making doubters of people. And you know what? Brock Purdy's making doubters of people. He's making believers of the doubters. 49ers are making believers of their doubters in all people. And Brock Purdy's making believers in his doubters. It's not 100%, but it's coming around. It's coming around. Andrew says, has Jake Moody missed a field goal? I don't think he has missed a field goal since his miss in Cleveland. He's turned it around. He has turned it around. Hold up. Hold up. Got a phone call. Might need to wrap this up soon. Let's see. Any other questions, comments? I might have to wrap this up a little early. He missed one on the game after Minnesota. Okay, he missed one after Minnesota. Okay, but that's not bad. After Cleveland, people wanted him out of there. He's done pretty good overall in terms of field goals. That Cleveland game was tough, but I feel like Jake Moody's really come around, and mentally he's gotten better. I think he's becoming more confident. So, yeah, he's played better since the Cleveland game. That was. Oh, man, that was tough. I feel more confident when he goes up there to kick. I'm not going to lie to you. So he looks a lot more comfortable, absolutely. Parik says the link was quiet yesterday. It was great walking out. Oh, were you at the game? That's awesome, man. That's right. You did say you're going to be there. So I'm sure it was amazing. I saw a lot of people posting yesterday that they were, Eagles fans were walking out early. They gave up on the team. The stands were empty. It was full of Niner fans. Like, that is amazing. To walk in another team's stadium and take over it like that, It is unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Not hostile as rumors. Andrew says Debo returning punts. Your thought? I loved it, man. I think that was a tone setter. We talked about Debo last night, man. This guy just came in. He wore black. He set the tone. He had the black Air Force Ones. He talked all the trash leading up to this game, and he backed it up. This was the biggest like talk trash backing up type performance of all time. It was crazy, man. Debo came out. And I mean, the energy he had from the start was, I'm focused. I'm going to go be the Terminator. He had the all black leather suit. Like, that was crazy. That suit he wore, I was like, wow, he is really about his business tonight. And black Air Force One energy and everything, man. And the fact that he returned punts, I loved it. I feel what Nick Bosa said was he's, an unselfish player, Debo, and how he just does whatever he needs to do for this team and how he can go out there and talk all this stuff and go out there and perform so high. He says he's just such a great player, man. And Debo is that guy. And for him to go out and return, kicks, it's big because he doesn't need to do that. He's already proved himself in the league. He's already won a big contract, and he's established himself as an alpha in this league as a receiver. But he's unselfish, and he'll do whatever the team needs. Ray was hurt, with the rib injury, he couldn't return kicks, and Debo said, "Yo, I got this, man. Put the ball in my hands," and he did really good doing that. And I feel like that's just a leader. He's just a captain, and that was a cool moment, man, for Debo to go out there and return those kicks. When I saw that, I was like, oh man, he means business today. Like when I saw that, I was like, oh, he's sending a message, man. And it really set the tone early on. Like Debo coming out there, he wasn't afraid. He was telling the Eagles, I'm coming for you guys. I'm coming for you guys, and you better watch out. The boogeyman is here. And he delivered, man. 3 touchdowns later. Absolutely loved it, man. Absolutely. It was good. Go debate in the cave with your echo. You like that? That was a good one. That was a good one. I'm gonna use that one from Shannon Sharp. Dak the MVP. Dak MVP. This Hurts MVP. That Brock outplayed both. There it is, Ethan. There it is. When it all comes down in the end, and voting is there, these voters better remember that Brock Purdy outplayed Dak, cooked him, and outplayed Jalen Hurts. Cooked them. Both of them. He outplayed both of those dummies. Outplayed both of those dummies. That's a great point. That's a great point, Ethan. He outplayed both of those dummies. Absolutely. Man, good game. Again, credit to Kyle Shanahan. Hell of a game he called. Credit to Steve Wilkes, man. He's really made the adjustments, and this defense is just the epitome of amazing lately. They really turned it around. This is a top defense, man. They're opportunistic. They hit you in the mouth. They're physical. They got good cornerback play, good linebacker play. Everything's great. Defensive line is ferocious. Debo is the catalyst. They don't lose games with Debo this season. They are really turning it up with Debo. Trent Williams, also him being there is amazing. Trent and Debo, man, the energy of this team, they're just, such a dynamic duo together. And then you got Brandon Ayuk, speaking of dynamic duo, and Purdy. Like those two guys are just relentless together. They're so good. They got a great connection. George Kittle, man, blocking like a madman, catching catches like a madman. This is the best tight end. This is George Kittle. Like George Kittle is out there just balling, man. Like I know he didn't have a touchdown yesterday, but he had some really big catches and he had some really big blocks. Like seeing George Kittle play football, it's amazing. I know sometimes we're like, man, get him the ball more, get him the ball more. But he has so much fun. Um, he has so much fun blocking, just blocking. Like the block that he had against the block he had that Debo scored the touchdown on. I think he had Darius Slay just like ate him up. He blocked 2 guys on that play, and his blocking all night was just sensational. But that one in particular was just amazing, man. And shout out to George Kittle, man. I'm so happy we have him as a tight end on this team. He's the best tight end in the NFL. I know Kelsey gets all the love because of the stats and Mahomes and this and that. If you would have put George Kittle on those Chiefs teams those years when they had all those stacked teams like Tyreek Hill, he's probably putting up the same stats, maybe better than Travis Kelsey. Look at what George Kittle has done with some terrible quarterbacks over the years. Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard, and the list goes on. And he's been tearing it up every year. He's consistently good. He's a great player, and his blocking is just unbelievable. Yeah. A hit from Lenore. Love it. That was one of my favorite plays of the year. Victory Monday, ladies and gentlemen. All good news. Everything's hyped in the Bay. We're all hyped up. It's a great day. Victory Monday. I'm gonna head out for a little bit. Got to take a phone call. I gotta take care of a little business. But you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll be live a little later. There's a good Monday night game tonight. Actually, this should be a fun one. So enjoy it. We'll be back live this evening, and after this Monday night game, it is officially Seattle week again, man. You guys have a good rest of your night. I love you. Thank you for the support. Make sure you hit that like button. We'll be live a little later. Keep that dial tuned in, baby. We'll be back. Love you. Bang, bang. Nana gang.